Good morning, Twitch.tv. Good morning to YouTube as well. And, of course, good morning, Mini Motorways. Let's go to Dubai for today's daily challenge. Samurai Sam was here first. And has resubscribed with Prime 59 months in the Goog Troop for... Goog Troop. No. Well, sort of. 59 months for Samurai Sam. Thank you, Sam. Damn near 6 years of being... 6 years. 5 years. We'll get there, maybe. Of being able to drop all those lovely Tier 1 emotes that, by this point, you all should know quite well. Because they have not changed in a minute. It's been a while since I got Parlor Ghost to draw us a new one or something like that. Oh, goodness. Oh, Lord. Won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? Please don't, actually. I just bought a car. I have no use for a new one. I suppose I wouldn't turn down a free Mercedes, but, you know, it would have to be a good one. You keep redrawing this bridge road. Go over here. These greens swoop this way now. Serve that yellow business. Okay. Give me a pair of traffic lights, and off we go. Here in Dubai, where some colors of destination will always be circles, which apparently includes yellows. I could sell it instantly, unless it's like one of those contests where you can't sell the prize. There are lots of those where it's like, oh, you take the thing, but you can't turn around and sell the thing. You've just won the thing. Which, you know, might be fine, but then you've got a big rocky dude just sitting in the corner of your house going, it's clobberin' time, over and over and over again. And what am I going to do with that? Honestly. Fucker's just going to take up space. At least Korg would be funny. Anyway. Oh, God. Oh, pain. Myself hurts. Don't get old, children. Or large. These are the two things you shouldn't be, and they are two things that I am. So, it's unfortunate for me. Also unfortunate for me is the placement of this pink business. I don't understand what we're doing here. Hopefully we get a motorway or at least a bridge or something this week so we can take these pinks over there with modicum of decency. Here we go. All right. Let's put pinks in... do we want to swoop them from the south? Kind of think we want... No, we want to swoop them north. Okay. You be northerly swooped in this direction, and then like so. So the 1, 2, 3 of these pink houses come up over to here, and they wind up serving this pink business. That'll probably be, broadly speaking, fine for very broad definitions of the word fine. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be okay-ish. Maybe. Kind of annoyed at this greenhouse spawning on the wrong side of the pink in order to screw over the green circle, but, you know, details and problems. We'll probably wind up taking a roundabout at some point, actually, is what we're going to have to do. Take a roundabout and toss it right here, and then have filter these two pinks, these two greens, so that they wind up here. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. Sam did pretty well in StatPad today. We will get there in the due course of time. Sam also did pretty well last night playing Dungeons and Dragons. Little does he know that I was grading every single player, and he came in 5th, which is fine because there were 7 of us. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Want to immediately note that I'm kidding. There are no actual grades that I will share with the class. Let's take a motorway. These yellows will swing in this way. We've got to get something up here to serve this yellow business. We'll just draw an exceedingly long saffron boulevard in this manner. You can do that. At some point, I'm going to want to bridge these beiges, but given that we don't have any bridges and do have some motorways, we can just do this. Good afternoon, Sun Flares Space. Thank you for being here. Sonny, you were not first. Sam beat you to it. Huzzah. Oh, goodness gracious, Great Balls of Stretch. Oh, here's a free stretch. Nobody redeemed the channel point reward or nothing. Oh, my arms and back. And also I sniffed. Cannot be forgotten that I did indeed sniff. Here's another green to serve this road. Samurai Sam has now redeemed a stretch, which means we get a second stretch. And to hydrate. Oh, God, I'm yawning. Which means I gotta find something with which to hydrate. And another, oh no, Sam is spamming hydrates. Oh no. Oh, Sam. Sam, why? Is today the day you drown me with your Goog bucks? Oh. Don't drown me with Goog bucks. Sunflare Space is enjoying sitting on the pa and also the patio. I'm glad you're having a good time with your dad. Gonna get in so much trouble for that joke, but it's funny and worth it. These 4 swing up here. That's fine. These 3 yellows, at least this is a tight and close road. It turns out, friends, that Dungeons and Dragons is a good fun game. Sometimes. I went into last night's session, which was session 1 for our new group, and for some reason I had the fear that it might be over very quickly. I did not realize that if I just give my players the floor and say, hey, talk about stuff, it will take them 2 hours to get out of a tavern. And God damn it took them 2 hours to get out of a tavern. So what I feared might turn into a too short session has instead turned into a 2-part session. So that should have been foreseeable. In retrospect, yes, that does make sense. We've got an issue developing with these pinks and yellows here, and the basic problem is yeah, I think we're gonna have to bulldoze that tree. Sorry about that tree. You're just sort of not long for this world. We'll build a roundabout. You'll go here. Western spur goes there. Let's break this up so that they're not all coming into the same entrance. Some come in from the eastern spur, some come from the southeastern. And now we have this purple business about which to worry, which is not a problem because we got this bridge. It was going to be a problem if we didn't get that bridge, to be clear, but we did, so it's not a big deal. Draw this road just like here, and now these 2 purples can serve this purple business. So this roundabout here, we've got pinks and yellows that are basically just spawning on the same road, and there's not much we can do to separate them or nothing. They're going to come in here from either the southeast or the straight east entrances. Spurs, that's the word I use to describe roundabouts. And then the northwesterly one goes out this way to serve the yellow circle, and the due westerly goes straight here to serve this pink circle. And that seems reasonably fine and good. And now we also have... All right. Okay, fine. Hey, look. More yellows. That's kind of okay. I can't really traffic light this in any meaningful way. So, I could possibly... If I had another bridge... Now, that was simple. If I had another bridge, he says, yawning, I could probably angle the purples to go around this and then have the yellows cut this corner and wind up here. That's a thing that I can do at some point in the future, and if I wind up with 1,000 million more bridges or something, I possibly will, but for right now, not a priority. Too busy with other stuff. Behold, other stuff. This pink will go here. These beiges, I kind of don't want to just run them through the roundabout simply because the roundabout's getting a little cloggy, but it's probably fine. It's probably fine. It might or might not wind up being fine. You know, we've got stuff. We've got an awful lot of beige houses spawning here, which isn't necessarily bad, but it does mean that this beige circle over here gets a lot less support than you would think, given the number of beiges that exist on the road. But it'll be fine. It'll all be fine. We'll tick over to Sunday right about now, and then we will doot and doot. It is indeed fine, says the dog in the fire comic. So here's a true story. I, as y'all should know by now. Oh, hey, a bridge. Samurai Sam, incidentally, has redeemed your minor Mets news of the day. Your minor Mets news of the day is that somehow Craig Kimbrell pitched 2 2/3 innings last night. Craig Kimbrell falling on the grenade, soaking up outs for the bullpen. Good for you, buddy. You're probably going to get cut soon because it has finally become clear that no, you have not rediscovered the fountain of youth or nothing. You are, in fact, just a pretty thoroughly mediocre reliever here in 2026. But hey, it was probably worth giving you a roster spot for a while until that proved evident. And it is now evident. So hopefully happy trails, Craig Kimbrell. And also, the Mets had been playing quite well, and they have since dropped 2 straight games to the Nationals, which is unfortunate. And on the one hand, it's only 2 games, but on the other hand, the Mets have dug themselves such a deep hole that anytime they lose 2 games in a row, it becomes mildly terrifying. On the other hand, Bo Bichette and Juan Soto have hit a combined 4 home runs in the last 2 games the Mets have played, so that's nice. One would think that Juan Soto hits 2 home runs and the Mets are going to win. That didn't happen. And one would think Bo Bichette hits 2 home runs and the Mets score 6 runs in a game Nolan McLean is starting and the Mets are going to win. And that is also not what happened. So, yeah. Anyway, I paused for a reason and I'm trying to remember what that reason was. Ah, yes, I have indeed acquired for myself an other bridge. And I think we're going to make use of said other bridge. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw this yellow road going up this way, like so, to serve into this yellow business. We're then going to redraw these purples such that they come down here. And once this bridge unbridges itself, which will happen once this purple goes out that way, doot and zoop doot. Having successfully zoop dooted that, we will cut down this way. And now these purples will serve this purple, these yellows will serve this yellow, and we shall be one step closer to pure maintenance of the tenets of one business in one road. Until another yellow circle spawns over here, like a fucker. That's right, you're acting like a fucker. Hagen Fargen. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. It's just going to have to be fine. We're just going to have to acknowledge it and move on, and it's going to be fine. Next, we're going to draw this road just like this, and I'm going to replace this. I'm just going to drop a motorway right there. This wants to be a bridge. What we're doing here, this wants to be a bridge. We'll get there in time. Speaking of getting there in time, this beigeness exists, which I frankly don't have anything to do about. Samurai Sam has redeemed Goog recaps the plot and would like for the _Goog, hi, that's me, to recap the plot of Breaking Bad. Now, Breaking Bad is one of those TV shows that I did not watch when it was airing, but I have since seen a fair bit of thanks to TikTok and YouTube Shorts. So I think I can do this halfway decently. First of all, this bridge right here is a bridge. So, we are going to... Man, this beigeness is awful. Let's do this and chop and reclaim all of this road. Then, let's swing motorway number 2 up like that, serviceate that business. Then, let's draw this bridge over here, serve that yellow business. This will be just fine. This purple will grab these 2 purple houses in like so. Okay. So once upon a time, there was a man named Walter, and Walter is a high school chemistry teacher, and it turns out he's dying of lung cancer, and that's unfortunate. Walter doesn't make a lot of money, but he happens to catch upon what seems in the moment to be a lucky break. Walter's brother-in-law, Hank, is a DEA agent who, as the series will reveal, has the worst professional instincts of any cop ever, and boy is that saying something. In order to demonstrate this, Hank takes Walter on a drug bust just for yucks, you see, because Walter is a rather lame... A rather lame dude is one Walter White. He is, after all, as previously described, a high school chemistry teacher. Think for a moment of a cool high school chemistry teacher. No, you didn't. You made that up. So, Hank takes Walter on a drug bust because Hank has the worst professional instincts of any cop ever. Walter notices a student of his, Jesse, is one of the people who is getting busted for meth, because that's a thing that happens in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is a Vince Gilligan show. Of course it is set in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, it turns out there's an awful lot of meth, and Jesse Pinkman is making some of it, along with his friend, I don't even remember his friend's name. It's Nodos or Skinny Pete or something. No, Skinny Pete's a different dude. My point is, Jesse Pinkman is getting busted for meth, and he runs like hell, and he gets away, because in addition to having terrible professional instincts, Hank Schrader is also a bad cop. I need to accelerate this. I'm already taking up too much time. This show lasted like 5 seasons or something. This Ratwike here is getting exceedingly Ratwikey, by the way. So this whole thing is just falling to shit. Here's how I'll help this not be so shit. We're going to run these beiges over this way. We're going to run the beiges this way. These beiges are just going to swing that away. Okay. You, by the way, are a purple fella. That is probably just gonna be bad for you. Honestly, I don't see a way that ends well unless we get, like, a bridge right here. If we get a bridge right here, then we can do that. Anyway, fast forward. Hank confronts Jesse. Walter finds and confronts Jesse and is like, hey, I know where you live. I will rat you out to the cops unless you make meth with me so we can make money so I can pay for my cancer treatments, because the real villain of the television series Breaking Bad is the American healthcare system. True fact. So Hank and Jesse, I keep saying Hank and Jesse. Walt and Jesse start making meth. And they're pretty good at it because Walter, as all high school chemistry teachers can make one fine-ass meth. It's true, children. The only reason your high school chemistry teacher doesn't make fine-ass meth is that he isn't as cool as Walter White. The moral of the television program Breaking Bad is that Walter White is very cool. This is not actually the moral of the television program, but tell that to the writers of the television program. So, Walt and Jesse make meth. They eventually come across... Walt has to kill some dudes in an RV. They're making meth in an RV because it makes for a good set for a TV show. They're making meth in an RV. My cities are exploding. Walt has to kill some dudes in an RV. There's an episode where Walt has to kill a guy in his basement, and it's sad, and it's like, oh no, Walter, you're Breaking Bad. How dare you? Don't worry, children. Walter will just become cool eventually. So Walt kills a guy in a basement, and Walt and Jesse make some meth, and eventually they run into a guy named, is this Tuco? This is Tuco. Tuco Salamanca. Tuco Salamanca is a local kingpin drug dealer type dude. Because, like, Jesse's a street peddler of drugs, but he makes, like, 3 and sometimes on a good day 4 digits of money selling methamphetamine, and not the actual amount of huge money that Walter White thought was available here in this methamphetamine market. So Walt is like, we need to move this shit faster. Find us a wholesale distributor. And Jesse's like, well, I do know a guy who knows Tuco Salamanca, the craziest motherfucker in the history of the world. Let's go sell meth with him. So they go and sell meth with him, and it goes really, really bad. Tuco punches his own guy to death for talking out of turn, and he threatens Walt and Jesse, and it's a whole thing, and he bites some people, and he's got weird fucked up meth teeth, and it's not a great look. Eventually, Walt and Jesse are like, shit, man, this problem with Tuco is bad. We gotta fucking kill Tuco. And they're like, okay, let's kill Tuco. So they try to kill Tuco, but they're bad at killing, so Tuco doesn't die. Instead, they have a bloody gunfight or whatever. Walt and Jesse wind up hightailing it because Hank is on their fucking trail. Hank has tracked down that there is some meth shit happening over here, and he runs into the vehicle of one known motherfucker, Tuco Salamanca, who, as it happens, is presently bleeding to death, having been shot in a stabbing knife fight or whatever with Walt and Jesse. So Tuco's bleeding to death, and he shoots at Hank, and Hank shoots him back, and Hank wins, and Tuco's dead. Congratulations, Hank. Now you're under investigation by your cop friends because you have the worst professional instincts of any cop alive. Also, you keep telling Walter how great it is to sell meth and how much money you can make selling meth. And hey, it turns out that somebody new on the meth market is making this really, really good meth that you would have to have like advanced chemistry knowledge for. And we found some meth making equipment on the scene of a place where people made meth that has literally stamped on it property of high school where Walter White teaches, and Walter is being weirdly evasive when asked questions about the inventory of his own chemistry room. You know, the room that he and like 0 other people have keys to, that happens to produce the meth making equipment that happens to be used in the meth making right over there within easy driving distance of Walter White, the guy who is dying of lung cancer and therefore has very little to lose and a desperate need for money. It will take Hank Schrader 5 years and a well-timed shit to piece this together because he has the worst professional instincts of any cop alive. Let's bring in our good friend the Wordle. God, I love this. Goog recaps the plot reward. It's so good when it's good. The Wordle today is not meth because meth has 4 letters. Hey, we got some letters. That's very good. Is the Wordle anger? That would be funny. It is not. Okay. So, Tuco Salamanca is dead. At some point along the line here, Walt and Jesse have made the acquaintance of one Saul Goodman, who is a skeezy-ass motherfucking lawyer played by Bob Odenkirk, who is surely just a side character here for yucks and chuckles and moving the plot along that won't wind up getting a spin-off series that I'm sure will be subject to the next edition of Goog Recaps the Plot or Nothing. Anyway, Saul Goodman happens to know a guy who knows a very well-connected drug dealer, who's like Tuco Salamanca if Tuco wasn't a crazy homicidal meth addict himself. You know, good Tuco. This hypothetical good Tuco is using a fried chicken operation as a front to distribute methamphetamine throughout the Southwest. This man, it turns out, is named Gustavo Fring, and Gustavo Fring is fucking wonderful. He's Giancarlo Esposito, at his most Giancarlo Esposito, being a cold, heartless, ruthless bastard, and also a pleasant, smiling businessman who just wants what's best for the community and to sell some damn good fried chicken. And he does indeed sell some damn good fried chicken, at least to hear people talk about it. However, it is indeed true that Gustavo Fring is one, running a massive drug empire and presently somewhat in need of a new chemist, and 2, a horrible, murderous, murderfying bastard. So Walt and Gus get along just fine. They're smart, brilliant men, and they engage in a fruitful and productive business partnership for all of like 6 weeks or so before Walt gets a hair across his ass that actually we gotta kill this guy. I don't remember the inciting incident here. It might have something to do with Jesse being high or something. Also, quick tangent, at some point Jesse starts banging Kristen Ritter, which, okay, I mean, listen, if one is presented the opportunity to bang Kristen Ritter, one should probably bang Kristen Ritter. At some point, Jesse bangs Kristen Ritter, and she's like his landlady and also an addict, and they start using together, and Walter's like, this lady appears to be leading Jesse down a path of ruin. I need him to continue making meth for reasons that are never going to be specified, but boy do I sure need him. Okay. Interesting. This is bad. I wonder if I should do something. And then, conveniently, Kristen Ritter has an overdose and starts aspirating and choking and dying on her own vomit in bed, and Walt just stands over her and is like, well, I could save this girl. Or, and he just lets her die. Because he's an asshole, you see. Walter White is a bad person. This is the moral of the television program Breaking Bad, but give it a few seasons, and the writers of the television program Breaking Bad will pretty much forget this. Also, Kristen Ritter's dad is played by the guy who played Q, which is interesting. Anyway, tangent over. Walt and Gus are mad at each other for reasons I don't remember. Gus decides that he needs Walt dead, except Gus has another chemist in line. That chemist is Gail Bedecker, who is basically Walt if he was even more of a dweeb, and played by the guy who played the evil partner in Suits. Imagine the guy who played the evil partner in Suits being a dweeby high school chemist who is also a good meth teacher. Wait, a dweeby chemist guy who was also a very good meth maker. Not quite as good as Walter White, and he immediately becomes like obsessed with learning from Walter and being friends with Walter and giving Walter gifts and such. It's going to be several seasons before this motherfucker helps Hank Schrader figure it out. But, so this guy, Gail Bedecker, very good chemist, working for Gus Fring, gets replaced by Walter White because Walt makes better meth. Oops, turns out that Walt is an unstable psychopath now. Gus decides we gotta fucking kill Walt and Jesse. Walt and Jesse hatch a plan to kill Gail. Gus has a button man named Mike who gets Walt trapped in his lab, so Walt can't do it. Walt sends Jesse to kill Gail. Jesse's all broken up about shit because he doesn't want to kill nobody, except he winds up having to kill somebody. He shoots Gail in the brain and bolts and just gets away with it for reasons. I don't know how Jesse Pinkman is able to walk into an apartment building, shoot a motherfucker cold in the skull, walk out of that apartment building, and never be investigated for this, but he was basically never investigated for this, at least as far as I could tell. So Gail's dead, which means that Gus is up shit creek with a paddle named Walter White. And he doesn't like that paddle, but it's the only paddle he's got. So Walt and Gus have to work together for a while, but Walt decides, no, actually, we really gotta kill Gus. So they hatch an elaborate plan that involves an old friend of Gus, and by friend I mean longtime mortal enemy. And that longtime mortal enemy is Tuco Salamanca's uncle, Hector Salamanca, who is murderously mad at Walter White, but also confined to a wheelchair for reasons we won't figure out until another television program. Hector Salamanca is being taunted by Gustavo Fring in his nursing home repeatedly, and Walt is like, wait a second, I have an ingenious plan, and by ingenious plan, I mean I'm going to do something horrible, but it's my television show, so it will be presented as an ingenious plan. Walt conspires with Hector to plant a bomb in Hector's wheelchair that Hector explodes in Gus's face when Gus is at the nursing home taunting him. So Hector and Gus are dead. Gus has a wonderful and amazing death scene, by the way. Gustavo Fring, good character. Walt has a problem. Gus ran all of the finances, ran all of the transportation, handled all of the distribution, did all of the non-making of meth shit that one needs to do in order to have a successful drug empire. Walt did not consider this when he decided to murder Gus. Oops, I guess. Fortunately, other people also depended on Gus for money, namely Mike. Mike realizes that, well, shit, I'm the guy who knows the most about Gus's operation, and Walt's the guy who knows the most about making meth, and Jesse's here, so let's fucking do this, I guess. And Walt and Jesse and Mike decide to team up and form a meth-making empire, and they live happily ever after. Ha ha ha, who am I kidding? Walt and Mike and Jesse get at each other's throats. Quick tangent. This whole time, Walt has been having family problems because his wife Skylar is a decent, normal person who is like, gee, Walter, you sure have been going through a lot of changes lately. I'm worried about you. And occasionally, Skylar figures out that Walter's running a drug empire and is like, bad! Stop doing that! And Walter's like, Rrr! And naturally, the fan base thinks that Skylar White is a horrible bitch. Naturally. Eventually, Skylar White decides she's actually fine with this and helps Walt run his burgeoning drug empire, which doesn't make the fan base any happier with her, but sure as hell does mean that the writers decided we're not actually going to bother making her a good person, we're just going to have her serve Walter's interests for a while. Because Walter's a kick-ass dude, that is the actual moral of the television program Breaking Bad. So Walt and Skylar have teamed up for a while, but they eventually get mad at each other again, and they're yelling at each other. Whatever. I'm also just going to say the name Lydia Rodart Quayle so as to prove to people watching this that I know who Lydia Rodart Quayle is and haven't bothered integrating her into my otherwise flawless narrative. Similar, Steve Gomez. There. I said the name Steve Gomez. So Walt and Mike and Jesse are at each other's throats because, like, Mike has guys in prison or whatever that he has to pay, and Walt sees a big, enormous pile of money and is like, surely all of this revenue is mine. There are no overhead expenses when one is running a business or a meth empire or a business that is a meth empire. Revenue is profit, right? Walt then gets mad when it turns out that revenue is not profit, and you have to pay other people to, distribute the methamphetamine and procure the supplies for the methamphetamine and not tell the police about the methamphetamine. It turns out this is new to him. So Walt gets mad at Mike, and Mike gets mad at Walt, and Jesse's mad at everybody because why not? And eventually Mike and Jesse decide, you know what, fuck this. Let's sell our 2/3 of the business, which is also Walt's third of the business, because fuck Walt. Let's sell our shit to this rando. And this rando is a conveniently placed dude who exists solely to move the plot along, whose name I literally don't know. This rando is like, yeah, sure, I'll give you $5 million. I'll give you $15 million for your whole thing, and you guys will pack up and go, right? And Mike and Jesse are like, yeah, we'll pack up and go. And Walter's like, no, you won't pack up and go. And he winds up in the desert with them. And then there's a very cool scene that is designed to make Walter look very cool and is pretty much the moment where the television program stops caring that Walter White was supposed to be the bad guy and is just like, full on, fuck it, he's very, very cool. It's very cool. It does a good job making Walt look very cool, where he humbles this motherfucker and gets the motherfucker to give him a bunch of money and let him continue making his meth. And they continue making their meth for a while until one day, Hank Schrader, motherfucker, who chased after this mythical figure called Heisenberg, who is his brother-in-law Walter White, who lives down the street, except he never fucking figured that out, even though he had all of the clues right in front of him, Mr. Policeman. Hank Schrader, who has the worst professional instincts of all time, goes after respected businessman Gustavo Fring. Turns out that was a good idea. Respected local businessman Gustavo Fring was indeed a meth peddler. Now, did Hank torch his career at the Albuquerque PD in pursuit of him? Well, no, he worked for the DEA, but yes, he did almost torch his career at the DEA in pursuit of local hero Gustavo Fring. But then it turned out that Gustavo Fring was running a meth empire with the help of this meth cook Heisenberg, who Hank Schrader, possessor of the worst professional instincts of all time, decides was this dead guy Gail Bedecker. So one day, Hank Schrader, having put the case to bed and satisfied himself with, well, I didn't get the man, but they're all dead now, and that's what matters, because he is, after all, a cop, is over at his brother-in-law's Walter White and having himself a lovely barbecue, and he goes inside to take a shit. And Walter White, stupid cocky motherfucker that he is, has left a gifted copy of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass on the toilet and is using it as a bathroom reader. And Hank picks up the bathroom reader and does some bathroom reading and realizes that the handwriting in the inscription in the front cover of the book is the same as the handwriting in the notes of Gail Bedecker that he thought were the notes of Heisenberg. Or that were the notes of Heisenberg that were like signed by Gail Bedecker or something like that. And Hank realizes, oh shit, all of those times I have entirely jokingly suggested that my brother-in-law Walter White is actually this meth kingpin. It turns out that my brother-in-law Walter White is actually this meth kingpin. Oops. Hank does not immediately arrest Walter White despite having a smoking gun in his fucking hand, because he does, after all, possess the worst professional instincts of any cop alive. He instead goes off and has a blood feud with Walt that culminates in them going to the desert. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So Walt and Mike and Jesse, by the way. The Wordle is... it's a wonderful question. Is it agree? The Wordle could be agree. Can we all agree that the Wordle is agree? We can all agree that the Wordle is agree. Wonderful. Good job. Let's do some time guessing. All right, so we're having ourselves a parade. There's ticker tape involved. That's good. This is the Hotel Columbia Palace. Nice. Dr. Scholes says, for the comfort of your feet. Good. No world interior. Absolutely literate. We don't treat the feet. So there's no world inside. We can read, and we don't treat the feet. But we're Dr. Scholes. Got it. Okay. So we got some folks here. They're from Power Oil. Good. Are we supposed to recognize you folks? I felt like I might have been supposed to recognize you folks, but then we weren't. Also, what is going on here? Like, okay, this, it turns out, is just like stains on a windshield or something. It looks like an absolutely enormous man's head. It looks like there's a truly enormous gentleman standing directly behind these folk, and we're just like seeing the side and top of his head. So that's weird. Oh, it's a billboard. Oh, that all makes much more sense. It's a billboard. Okay. It's a sign. I understand everything now, except where we are, but, you know, we'll get there. So there's a Pepsi logo. There's a Lanch's restaurant. There's a dentist. Okay. Folks are smoking. Ticker tape parading. Volkswagen Beetles. Where are we? Cartucho. Is this like a hooray, Mexico won the World Cup, let's throw them a parade? Somebody won something and is being thrown a parade. Ooh, wait. Could this be like an F1 car? Could this be we're in Spain celebrating your victory in an F1 race or something? That seems plausible. Sure. We are in Madrid, Spain in don't move the thing. I'm going to ooch the thing just a little bit to the right. We're in Madrid, Spain in 1966. We are indeed in Brazil in 1972. But I was right that it was a Formula One guy. That's Emerson Fittipaldi. I probably should have recognized Emerson Fittipaldi. Okay, fine. So Hank is chasing down Walt, and he's going to do whatever. Walt and Mike and Jesse need a place to make meth. They can't use Gus's lab. They can't use Gus's lab because Walt and Jesse kind of blew it up. They blew it up to cover their tracks after murdering Gus, so they can't do that. They need another place. And there's a fun montage where Mike and Walt and Jesse and their lawyer, Saul, yes, indeed, Saul Goodman, still a character on the television program, certainly not going to get a spin-off that many people believe is a better television program than Breaking Bad, and also be the subject of the next Goog Recaps the Plot or nothing. Certainly nothing like that. Anyway, Mike and Walt and Jesse and Saul are going and looking for new places to cook meth. And after a pretty funny montage, they eventually wind up with a plan. We're going to use this exterminating company, which conveniently is also a front for a bunch of hoodlums. This exterminating company that is also a front for a bunch of hoodlums will conveniently allow us to move our entire meth operation into whatever house they happen to be tenting for bugs so that we can cook meth. Because as everyone knows, there is so much pest control needing to be done in Albuquerque, New Mexico, that one of the several pest control companies in Albuquerque, New Mexico, can, with enough regularity to sustain a methamphetamine operation, show up to a place, tent a house, bomb it for bugs, have Walt and Jesse roll all of their shit in, set up all of their shit, make all of their meth, tear down all of their shit, roll out all of their shit, and then detent the house for bugs, with nobody being the wiser. Surely this is a foolproof plan. One of the exterminators who was also a front for low-life hoodlums or whatever is this motherfucker named Todd. And this motherfucker named Todd has an Uncle Jack who is like a Nazi murder killer or whatever. But we don't know that yet. We just know that he's this motherfucker named Todd. Yada, yada, yada. They need a MacGuffin. They need a MacGuffin to make the meth. There's a train full of MacGuffin coming through the desert. So Walt and Jesse hatch this overly complicated, elaborate plan to yoink a bunch of MacGuffin off of the train, right? They're going to yoink the MacGuffin from the train. And it all hinges on nobody figuring out that they yoinked the MacGuffin. Because eventually people are going to figure out that the MacGuffin got yoinked, but if they do it right, no one will know that it was people like them what did the yoinking, let alone them. If nobody finds out it was them, that's great. But if they do the operation just downright perfectly, nobody finds out that it was anyone like them. So they go totally off on another trail, and nobody finds out that they were the ones who yoinked the MacGuffin. It's a good plan, except for the fact that it's highly overly complicated, relies on robbing a train in broad daylight, and they just damn near get away with it. I say damn near get away with it because even though they specifically scouted out a location in the middle of the fucking desert where goddamned nobody is, and there was no indication that this person would be there at this particular time, immediately after they have successfully yoinked the MacGuffin and the train has gone along unknowing that it was yoinked from, immediately after that, a tiny boy on a tricycle shows up. And this tiny boy on a tricycle is a tiny boy on a tricycle who has appeared and accidentally stumbled upon the people celebrating their MacGuffin yoinking. Todd shoots the boy, as one does, because after all, it was impressed upon him that no one need find out about what they did. This becomes a point of conflict between Todd and Jesse. Jesse is mad that Todd shot the boy. Between Jesse and Mike and Walt. Mike and Walt are like, he probably shouldn't have shot the boy, but also I kind of get it. And Jesse's like, no, I'm mad about this. Sucks for Jesse. Turns out Todd has a crazy murderous murder Nazi uncle guy. So his murder Nazi uncle guy named Jack is clued into their operation somehow and basically just hijacks it. I don't know exactly what happens. It gets fuzzy at this point. The show must have gotten worse because I see less of it at this point in the clips. So Jack hijacks the operation somehow. And also, Walt is like working with Jack and selling him meth or something, or Jack is the new distributor or something, because after all, this tent operation is bad. But hey, Todd's Uncle Jack knows what to do with it. He knows how to sell meth. He's been good at selling meth. Let's have Todd's Uncle Jack sell the meth. Todd's Uncle Jack eventually decides to jack the meth, but we'll get there. Hank eventually tracks down Walt and is like, holy shit, I've got this Walter White guy dead to rights. Let me get him out in the desert and I'll arrest him. So he lures Walt out to the desert. Jesse turns on Walt at this point. Jesse and Walt, every season and a half or so, Jesse and Walt have a huge, enormous blowout that ends their relationship. And then within 3 episodes, they're back together as Jesse and Walt, meth-making kings forever. This happens like 4 times. The 4th time it happens, Jesse is like, fuck this, I'm going to the cops. So he goes to Hank and he's working with Hank. And Jesse and Steve Gomez and Hank all work together to lure Walt out to the desert. And Walt is like, Walt thinks someone is stealing his money and or his meth, so he calls Jack and is like, Jack, you gotta help me. They're stealing my money and or my meth. Meet me in the desert. And Jack goes off and meets them in the desert. It turns out that there was nobody stealing the money. It was a setup. Hank is there to arrest Walt. So Hank gets Walt in handcuffs and reads him his Miranda rights and all of that and throws Walt in the back of a car. Enter Jack. Jack and Hank have a shootout. Steve gets shot. Jesse hides under a car. Hank gets cornered or whatever, and Jack is going to shoot him. And Walt is like, Jack, no, don't kill Hank, please. He's my brother-in-law. And Jack's like, what? And Walter begs for Jack's life. And the show does a pretty good job of making Walt look like an idiot in this moment. But don't worry, friends. He'll get his revenge later because Walter White is the coolest motherfucker to ever live. That is the moral of the television program Breaking Bad. So, Walt begs for Hank's life, and Jack is like, maybe I will spare the life of this DEA investigator who has tracked down me and my methamphetamine operation and is also your brother-in-law, you fucking idiot. Maybe I will do that. Hank realizes that Jack is going to fucking kill him and basically taunts Jack, and then Jack fucking kills him. Walt is distraught, but does nothing about it because, well, he's distraught. And Jack doesn't bother killing Walt because, after all, Walt's the guy who makes the meth, and he needs Walt to make the meth, and Jack can threaten him with pain of death or whatever. Also, he finds Jesse and kidnaps him and drags him off to go live in a cage or something. I don't know. Todd's a real motherfucker. Like, Jack's nephew Todd is a real motherfucker. Anytime you see the actor who plays Todd in anything, your first reaction from this point forward is going to be, oh, it's that motherfucker Todd. Unfortunately, for people who have that reaction, like me, the guy who played that motherfucker Todd is Oscar-winning actor Jesse Plemons. I think Jesse Plemons won an Oscar. I don't know. He's very successful and also very busy. So you see Jesse Plemons in a lot of things these days, and every time you do, you will be like, it's that motherfucker Todd. At least if you're me, who experiences culture through YouTube shorts. It's that motherfucker Todd. Next. Hey, we're in Stockholm. Well, that was easy. We are in Stockholm, Sweden in Army Dude 37? 37 feels a little late. 26? 26. We are in Stockholm, Sweden in 1966. Should have said 37. Turns out it was 1940. Oh well. Next! Hi there, flag of a place. I don't remember you, but hey, you're welcoming His Excellency Edgar Chagwa Lungu, President of the Republic of Zambia, welcomes President of the Republic of Turkey. That tells us we're in Zambia. Also, the sign that says welcome to Zambia will tell us that we're in Zambia. So now, well, first I will draw a circle, which I'm reasonably certain encompasses Zambia, and then we'll figure out where Zambia is. Boy, it sure is convenient that these last two have gone very quickly, because, man, I'm taking a lot of time making a real meal out of explaining the plot of the television program Breaking Bad. Oh, well. Hey, look, it's Zambia. There are two dots here. Which one of these is the capital? Wonderful question. Gonna guess. We are in Lusaka, Zambia. At the airport, actually. We're in Lusaka, Zambia in... who's being welcomed here? This is... Okay, I think this guy's name is pronounced Erdogan. Basically, he's the guy who was president of Turkey, but then got deposed a couple years ago. So this is not a recent thing. Well, this is not a this year thing. This is like a 2023 thing. This is a 2019 thing. So it's 2018. Good job, Goog. Well done. Very good work. Proud of me. Anyway. So the motherfucker Todd has Jesse in a cage or whatever. And Jack has... Jack eventually goes and meets with... Why does Walt go and meet with Jack again? I don't remember. Walt lines up a meeting with Jack, wherein he claims that he's going to sell Jack a new way of making meth, which they don't need because they're using Jesse as a meth-making slave. So Walt walks into what appears to be an obvious trap. I feel as though I've skipped a season of the television program, which I might have. Also, at some point, Walt kills Mike. Walt kills Mike. Mike has a death scene. It's good. Mike Ehrmantraut, good character. Certainly won't be a good and recurring character in, say, another television program or anything. So Walt kills Mike, and then Walt arranges a meeting with Jack. And it turns out, Mike also had a list of guys they were paying, and Walt has them killed Godfather style because Walter White is just the coolest motherfucker who ever lived. Because, you know. I think Jack might have arranged that. That might have been how they met, actually. That might have been how Walt and Jack met, is Walt had Jack arrange the killing of people. Oh well. Walt arranges a meeting with Jack, wherein he claims to want to clear the air with Jack and also work with Jack. And then Jack is like, no, you stupid idiot, I'm just gonna fucking kill you. And Walt taunts Jack about partnering with Jesse, which really gets Jack's hackles up for reasons that exist because television show. So Jack, with reasonably hackled Jack, has Todd go and drag his meth slave Jesse out of the meth cage he's keeping him in, and show him off to Walt as if to say, does this look like a partner to you, you stupid motherfucker? Now I'm going to kill you. Except Walter White, the coolest motherfucker to ever live, has planted a remote-controlled rotating machine gun in the trunk of his car. Walter White hits a button on his key fob that activates the remote-controlled machine gun turret that he has planted in the trunk of his car, causing a hail of bullets to fire into the room where he just happens to conveniently know that he would be dragged by Jack and all of Jack's cronies, and also, miraculously, kills all of Jack's cronies, mortally wounds Jack, and does not lay a scratch on Jesse or Walt. Because they dove right, you see. Also, in this chaos in which a dozen motherfuckers are killed in machine gun fire, none of the motherfuckers have the thought, maybe I should kill Jesse and Walt at this time. They just get gunned down by machine gun fire. So a dozen motherfuckers are dead. Jack is mortally wounded. And they get to recreate. Walt gets to have the emotional catharsis of recreating Hank's death scene with Jack, wherein Jack says one last thing and then Walt just fucking kills him. So Walt just fucking kills Jack in a cool badass moment because after all, Walt is the coolest motherfucker to ever live. And then he and Jesse have one last meaningful stare down or whatever. Jesse gets in his car and plows through a gate and off we go. Certainly never to be revisited in a made-for-TV movie that I think I've seen in YouTube Shorts maybe once. Don't make me recap the plot of the television program El Camino. It will be quick. Anyway. You remember how Walt is dying of lung cancer? Walt dies of lung cancer, right there, in a place. Never arrested, never comeuppance or nothing. He just dies of lung cancer, having successfully gotten a bunch of money to his family and freed Jesse and murdered Jack. And yeah, Hank and Steve Gomez and a bunch of people he cared about died or whatever, but Walt is not going to face any comeuppance for that, because he's dead, you see. No one gets their revenge on Walt. Walt killed everyone, and then he died. The end. Thus ends the story of Walter White, the coolest motherfucker to ever live, according to the television program Breaking Bad, which began as a story about how a normal person could become a monster. And yes, Walter did become a monster, but he also became the main character of a television program, and therefore, even the television program forgot that he was the bad guy. This has been an overlong version of Goog recaps the plot of the television program Breaking Bad. Oh, God, that's a fun reward. Thank you, Sam. Hey, look, a streetcar. Hey, look, French. Hey, look, a French streetcar. Well, maybe. It could be a Louisianan streetcar. It could, as I was recently reminded, be a Canadian streetcar. It's a streetcar selling chocolate, or perhaps Chocolat Louis, which we're going to pretend is chocolate. This is a perfume store. That's the chocolate I saw. There we go. Let's see here. This is Sir Raphael Quinquina, which is probably not how they would expect me to say that, given that this is French, but fuck it. I don't know where we are. And therefore, I will just assume we're in Paris, because sure is a whole bunch of French going around here. Now, this could be, say, a quarter of that, but nonsense. This is at Rue Savin. Okay. You're saying Rue. That means you're in actual France and not just like fake-ass Louisiana France. Oh, that's the meanest. I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying that, but also it's the title of the episode. Fake-ass Louisiana France. Title of the episode. We are in Paris, France in... I kind of want to herc the thing all the way to the left. Should I herc the thing all the way to the left? I'm going to herc the thing most of the way to the left. We are in Paris, France in 1910. Good job not herking the thing all the way to the left, Goog. Also, this is Marseille. Okay. All right. It was France. Hi there, Denver Broncos Stadium. And also, lady. So, well, we've got an end zone what says Broncos. That could just be painted. It could be a herring of some kind. Oh, wait. It is a herring of some kind. This is Super Bowl 21 between the Broncos and the Giants. which was not played in Colorado. Okay. Where was Super Bowl 21 played? Crap. Commemorative seat cushions. Do you have any, like, information? The Rose Bowl. Yes. Oh, this is going to tell us everything. Rose Bowl, Pasadena, January 1987? Is that 1987? Would that make sense? Yes. Because they're coming up on Super Bowl 61, I think, next year, which is 2027. So 40. Okay. So we're at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California in 1987. Well, here's an easy 9,990 something points, assuming you can find the Rose Bowl, which, oh boy. All right. Well, it's in Pasadena, which is near Los Angeles. Hey, look, Pasadena. Oh, is that the Rose Bowl? The Rose Bowl. Okay. Now we got to figure out, we got to orient the stadium. Wait, where'd you go? The Rose Bowl. There you are. Okay. So let's assume that we're at this end zone. Why? I don't know. If we're at this end zone, that means that this is right here. So the camera is probably back and then a few sections over. So it's like here. I think we're just about here in 1987. That seems reasonable. Yep. Good job, Goog. 10,000 points there. Final score 38-7-18. That seems reasonable. Well done, Goog. Oh, let's see here. Now, for today's edition of StatPid, drop those GGs in the chat. We need pitching strikeouts from a Chicago White Sox pitcher who never won a Cy Young, anybody in the NL West this year, a Tampa Bay Ray in ever, not quite ever, not 1998 or 1999, an AL Central guy this year, and a Pittsburgh Pirate who has never won the Cy Young. So, Chicago White Sox dude from 2000 to 2026 who never, ever, ever won a Cy Young. So, my first thought for strikeout-heavy White Sox pitchers is Chris Sale, but I know Chris Sale has won a Cy Young. My second thought is Jack McDowell, but Jack McDowell is before the timeline here. He was not a productive member of the Chicago White Sox after the year 2000. I don't think he was a professional baseball player. I think he had retired by then. So, let's see here. It's not going to be Mark Burley, both because I think he won a Cy Young and because he definitely didn't strike out a bunch of dudes. It's not going to be Jake Peavy. Jake Peavy won a Cy Young, and I'm only half sure he was ever on the White Sox. It could be Orlando Hernandez? Could it be 2005 El Duque? I don't hate that. Could it be Jose Contreras? It could be Jose Contreras. Yeah. I think I like that more than Orlando. I think I like that more than El Duque. We're going to say 2005 Jose Contreras. Never won a Cy Young. Struck out a fair whack of dudes. 86th percentile. That's not bad. Not obviously beaten by Orlando Hernandez. Also, it turns out Dylan Cease was on the White Sox. So, maybe should ought have known that, but oh well. Not horrible. A dude in the NL West this year is Shohei Ohtani, right? Like, Shohei's having an amazing pitching season. He's fucking incredible. We're just going to say Shohei Ohtani. 2026 Shohei Ohtani has struck out 54 dudes. Fifth in the NL West to one guy on each other team, sort of. His teammate Yoshi and Mike and Landon. Okay, fine. Shohei Ohtani, 54 strikeouts. He's very good at baseball. A Tampa Bay Ray at any point between 2000 and 2026. Which Scott Kazmir year are we going with? Is it a Scott Kazmir year? Should I try a Blake Snell? How do we feel about 2022 Blake Snell? I kind of like 2022 Blake Snell. I don't think that's a bad idea. Oh, wait. Were you a free agent guy? Were you bouncing around teams in 2022? Is this too late for you? It is indeed too late for you. How do we feel about 2019 Blake Snell? Not great. 147 Ks, 82nd percentile. 2007 should have been the Scott Kazmir year that we pulled. Right. Also, Chris Archer existed. Man. Chris Archer, 200. That's a lot of fucking Ks, my guy. Good job. Dude in the AL Central this year. Tarek Skubal's very good, but he has been hurt for a couple of weeks now. But it's only been a couple of weeks, and he is very good. I think it's still Tarek Skubal, actually. We're just going to say Tarek Skubal. 2026 Tarek Skubal is 90th percentile. Good job. Although, Gavin Williams, Parker Messick, Guardians dudes, having good season. Okay, fine. A Pittsburgh Pirate who never won a Cy Young at any point in his career, which means we're not looking at Garrett Cole. We're not looking at Paul Skeens. We're probably looking at A.J. Burnett. I'm thinking we're looking at a young A.J. Burnett as a Pittsburgh Pirate who would have struck out a whole bunch of dudes but never won a Cy Young. That seems reasonable. So when we say, no, not A.J. Nurbet, A.J. Burnett. How do we feel about... Wait, no, Josh Beckett was a Marlin. A.J. Burnett was also a Marlin, which is how I thought they were teammates. But how do we feel about 2003 A.J. Burnett? Do we like 2003 A.J.? He started as a Marlin. Fuck. How do we feel about 2006 A.J. Burnett? How do we feel about 2009 A.J. Burnett? How certain am I that A.J. Burnett was ever a Pirate? How do we feel about 2001 A.J. Burnett? I thought A.J. Burnett was a Pirate. I might have been wrong. Okay. Well, fuck. Back late in his career. I see. All right. I'm still going with this. Fine. How do we feel about 2010 A.J. How do we feel about 2012 A.J. Burnett? God! Ugh! 180 strikeouts. Good job. Could have been better. Also, I forgot that Francisco Liriano ever started for the Pirates. I only knew of him as a reliever for them. But, okay, fine. Good job, Goog. God. This has been an episode of Good Morning Mini Motorways. That is something that you can definitely say for absolute certainty. Folks, I will be back later this evening for UFO 50 as we continue playing through what is turning out to be a good game. We hit a stretch of some really fun little games this past Tuesday. Hopefully that continues as we move on. For now, have a good day, everybody. This is the end screen. Watch Breaking Bad. It's good.